Welcome to Channel AMEC, your insight to the Australian visa system. Good day everyone, this is Carl Young here, your registered migration agent. Just to start with, I wanted to apologize for everyone that haven't been putting much of updates in English version for a while, but this week is very vital because the financial year of 2019 and 2020 has commenced. Now, for the viewers that don't know about the financial year of Australia, it's probably different than most of our countries. They start from 1st of July to the 30th of June next year. So that's why every time in 1st of July, first week of July, there will be enormous numbers of regulation updates. Now, obviously, from Monday to Friday, there has been a lot of news came out. Today, I'll personally like to summarize. This video will be a bit lengthy, but it will provide you a lot of insights and details. So if you do have any questions or query or comment, more than welcome to leave it down the comment section below, so I will be able to respond back to you. And also there's availability of writing me an email as well. So to start with, let's go into Canberra, ACT, Australian Capital Territory. So what happened there? Canberra basically reigned at the first place before every other state had announced their new plan. Now, they actually announced this back on Friday last week, so not even July. They haven't made the July. They at the very last day of June, business day, they have announced an updated occupation list and their guidelines. So today I would like to take you through the whole set of not just the ACT details, but all the other updated states. Okay, so basically the as you can see, I'll scroll down slowly. They have an open occupation list and a closed occupation list. Now, what's the difference there? Now, if your occupation is in the open list, obviously you get more points. So ACT does have their guideline with their own point test tables, which I'm gonna show you very soon after we show you the actual list. So let's take a look. Now, there's obviously a senior management level, sales manager, advertising manager, architect, landscape architect, and all the designing occupations and all the engineering occupations all in there, agricultural consultant, scientists. Now, what's with the double asterisk? Let's go back up here. It basically says employment caveat. What does it mean? So minimum 1 year of ACT employment contract. The employee must be with the medium to large enterprise. So if the business, if your working environment is under very small, for example subcontractors, then you will not be eligible to be counted in here. Chemist, environmental consultant, geologist, life scientist, basically work in the lab or universities. University lecturer, the double two. Let's have a look. What does that mean? That minimum 1 year employment contract with ACT employer. So that basically explains it. So you have to be at least working as a lecturer in ACT or Canberra. Sonographer, all here down here, all medical professionals. There's obviously general practitioners. So if you're a doctor, you'll be able to be nominated under the ACT criteria. All the nurses are all included. ICT are all included here. Web developer, software engineer, you name all these general ICT occupations, and social workers, recreation officers, welfare workers. And now we're moving into the trades. So there's a motor vehicle mechanics, panel beater, bricklayer, stonemason, so solar plasterers and plumbers, gas feeder drainers, and obviously another hairdresser. Very interesting. Now, obviously, you have to be working there for quite a while to actually get those points to be accumulated. Now, moving into the closed occupation. This is where I'm saying that you can still be eligible, but you won't be getting as much points as in the open occupations. As you can see, these are the growers, farmers, all the other type of managers down here, engineer managers, welfare center managers, school principal, education manager, cafe restaurant managers, hotel motel accommodation, customer service manager, music director, photographer, artistic director, book script editor, director, filmmaker, stage manager, copywriter, journalist, accountants. I'm sorry, accountants are in the closed occupation list here. Financial broker, there's only ICT trainer. All the other ICTs are actually in the open list here. Economist, land economist, valuer, librarian, ICT account manager, surveyor, fashion designer, industrial designer, jewelry designer, interior designer, chemical engineer, petroleum engineer, and all the teachers, you see. So obviously they probably prefer local teachers, but if you do come from English speaking countries, for example UK, USA, Canada, New Zealand, you probably get more incentive, as you will easily pass the criteria of skill assessment here. Dance teacher, music teacher, private tutor, and what's other, chiropractor, naturopath, podiatrist, dental specialist, neurologist, psychiatrist, and all the other. These are all the medical, like the surgeons and all that. And looking down, there's nurse educator. I'm not too sure. I've never seen a nurse educator and nurse researcher here. Barristers and solicitors, they're in the close, but it would be quite hard to actually be admitted first, and also working for quite a while in ACT. Rehab counselor, interpreter, meat inspector. These are the trades. That's not most preferred, but they're still in the list. So architecture draftsperson, mine deputy, farrier, automotive electricians, and so on and so forth. So I won't go too much detail. There's a greenkeeper, landscape green gardener. There's also tennis coach and swimming coach. I don't know how that will work there, but and footballer. I'm not too sure ACT does have a good football club or sports person, contract admin, blah blah blah. But obviously, if you do have interest about this, you want to obtain the list, you can actually Google find them, or you can email me or leave a comment. I can send you the link direct there. Now, moving on to the actual guideline, because you can see there's two lists there. Now, ACT is a bit complicated. They do have their own point tables. So as long as you can accumulate as much scores and points, obviously you get more chances to get invited. So the only big changes here is let me just search it. Here we go. Okay, now previously, prior to 2019-2020 fiscal year, this part of eligibility, they are required, in order for ACT to actually nominate you, you are required to demonstrate that you have been working there and living there for at least 12 months. Now they have moving it downwards, so the threshold has moving down from 12 down to 3 months. So obviously, if you're there for 3 months living there, obviously you're living there or work there for 3 months, you'll be eligible to be accepted, but provided that your points are high enough within your occupation to be invited. So how do you get there? Let's go down to the actual tables. Now this is all a lot of wording here, but if you do want it, leave a comment, I can send it to you. Okay, now this is where they have two matrix. one is Canberra resident and the other one is non-resident. So obviously they prefer residents. So residents here, as you can see, if you live there for more than 5 years, they give you 25 points. Less than 5, 4 to 5, 20 points. 3 to 4, 15 points. 2 to 3, 10 points. 1 to 2, 5 points. And less than 1, 0 points. And they prefer obviously better English. So if you get superior, that's IELTS 8. You get 15 point. Proficient, that's IELTS 7. You get 10 points, and less than that, no points. If your spouse does speak superior and proficient English, you get 5 points. That's different to the immigration system that's coming out, because the immigration system basically say if your spouse does have the capability of competent English, you get that point. But in Canberra, it's different. Okay, now nominated occupation. Obviously, if you see here. If your occupation is in open list, you get 20 points. If not, 0 points. Okay? Now, and if you do have been working in that field for more than 12 months, plus, you get 10 points. Less than that, more than 6, 5 points. Okay? And the skill employment. Now, if your employment, now, you can see the difference here between this one and this one, that you possibly, for example, you can be in the open list for, say, you're a general practitioner, and then you work in Canberra as a cook or chef, just make it easier. And for more than 12 months, you get 10 points. But if you're not working in your field, okay, you don't get this point. Okay, so if you're working in your field, you get that 20 points. Okay, that obviously in the open occupation list. Just give you a very extreme example. Obviously, they categorize whether you have been working there, and also prefer that you're working in your field, and your field is more preferred if that's in the open list. Okay, now moving downwards. Your spouse, if your spouse working in the open occupation, again, you get more points. See what I mean? So that's why they have two lists. Now, your qualification, obviously, they prefer the highest as possible. That's the same as what the immigration has set for. Now, the studies. Now, that basically meant as long as you live in there long enough, so you probably start there in Canberra from high school, and then obviously you get more 4 academic years, you get that more points. Less than that, you get less points. But obviously that's just another example. You probably study a PhD, you spend time there for 4 years, then you get that 20 points too. You see what I mean? Now, assets, they also prefer that you put assets in Canberra as well. So if you invest in ACT property, you get that 5 points. If you purchase or establish a business in Canberra, you get another 5 points. If you inject 200k to a third-party investment or startup ACT business, you get another 5 points. So the more you invest in Canberra, the more points. But you see, the asset in Canberra does not provide most of the points, because they only give 5. I don't know why. They probably give 15, 20. You know, if they want to do more, they probably put 20 or 30. Anyway, now the final bit is if you do have any families in ACT, you also get points as well. Now that's for the Canberra residents. So if you're living in Canberra, you're in this guideline. If you're not, if you are overseas, then you're in this guideline. So again, they will assess whether or not you have been living in Canberra before, you get the points, and whether or not you're in open or closed lists, your English again, your spouse's English again, and do you have a job offer? If you do have a job offer to go to Canberra, you get points, and your relevant work experiences. So, or for example, if you're going back to general practitioner, if you're a general practitioner and you have been practicing as a doctor or in a clinic, you get that points, and also your spouse, what sort of occupation or work that they are in, they get more points as well. And they prefer higher qualification, and your studies in Canberra, you may be studying Canberra previously, but then you have relocated to anywhere around the world, and then you want to come back, so that also gets you point there. So, and also family ties as well, and also asset the same again. So basically that's as much as the Canberra's state nomination will work. Now let me take you to South Australia, which before we do that, now I also wanted to let you know that the big three states, Queensland, New South Wales and Victoria, looks like they will postpone the announcement of the new policies for their state nomination. I think basically due to the upcoming 494 and 491 visas, which is going to be eligible and initiated on 16th of November. So I'll take you to that news later. So now the reason that South Australia or Canberra has announced it, because there's not much of differences, because they were originally categorized as regional areas or designated regional area for within the law, so they announced it straight away. Now let me take you to South Australia. Now South Australia does include more occupation into their list. Okay, so I won't go too much further, but how you read this, or if you want to have the link here, you can leave a comment. I can send it to you. Basically, you can see they are all in available, so that they're in green, and all the preferably, I think most of the occupation will come under 489 or the upcoming 491. The reason why is they will like the skilled person to actually be in the state, in regional area, and working there for a couple of years, and then transfer into permanent residency, just to diverse the population growth from the major cities. They do have some other ones. So how do you read? Some of them does not require to be in 489. Then, for example, corporate service manager, you can see here they're required to have a provisional English, but there's no provisional 489 visa, only wording down there. So that means you can come in as a 190. But again, this is a very high end. It's almost like CEO type of role there. Now, with the red one, it does says special condition apply. Generally, it will spells out what they require, and also they are in the high score. So what does it mean in high scores? So if we go down to a particular area where all the ITs are, you start from here, all the ITs, ICT and networking, etc. Okay. What that means is you're at least within EOI system, you need to score at least 75 points or above. Now that 75 points or above actually included the state nomination. For example, if you're in 489 visas, you included that 10 points. So if you want to get into that mark there, within the EOI, you at least to get 65. Now if you doubt or have confusion there, leave a comment or visit my previous video. You probably can find more, but more than welcome to email me as well. So that's basically what's happening there. So if you go in here, you can actually find all the occupation they are available for South Australia. Now the other thing is South Australia does initiate and start the DAMA program. So that's the designated area migration agreement with immigration. So the whole state and also including the Adelaide city itself is within the regional areas. So they are open, and now there's a graph down here basically saying the procedures. So if you're really keen in DAMA program, now first thing first, you're required to find a employer who could provide an offer or job for you, and then you basically go through step by step. So if you're an employer, you're interested in sponsor a overseas skill migrant to work in your areas, you're required to go to South Australia Department of Immigration to actually apply for eligibility to get that accreditations, and once you've got that, then you will be able to sponsor. So that test basically tests out what sort of area of business that you're in, and what sort of roles that you're in, and how many you require, and matching back to the labor market testing that you're required to provide evidence showing that you can't find any locals, and secondly, you are financially fit to actually employ someone there. But if you do require further detailed information, more than welcome to leave a comment and contact me as well. Now finally, let's go to the July 2019 skill visa e-news. So this will actually give you a summarize of the whole upcoming visas for the program of 2019-2020 fiscal year. So basically it says it was set to 160,000 places for the upcoming year, and I believe for the upcoming 3 years it will be kept at that point as well, so no more increasing, so dropping down from 190 down to 160,000. Now introducing of the global talent independent program. Now what does that mean? That basically want the skilled people from the STEM program, which are the scientific technological field, and it's an employment sponsor program, and they open up for 5,000 permanent migration places. So the employer has to be in the capacity of reaching at least $4 million turnover per year, and the nominee who you want them to work at, the minimum salary requirement has to be 150,000 plus per annum. Okay, so that's the program there. They are introduced to actually so you can see more information with GTI program will be released shortly. So they're looking to actually attract more of these highly technological personnel into Australia. Now as I said before, Queensland, New South Wales and Victoria, they postponed the announcement until later July. I believe the major hit is this, the transitional changes for 489 and 187. So all the states, the last day to actually invite nominee for 489 visas will be the 10th of September 2019. Okay, after that no more 489. Now once you get invited, you get 2 months to be lodging the visa. So the last day to lodge the visa will be 15th of November, which is pretty short because 16th of November a new law will come out. So basically it says here, okay, and obviously all the states they are not originally having that plan will require to adapt and put that the new system in there. So stay tuned in my videos in the upcoming month. You will have more updates on this. Now for general practitioner, there is an introduce of the health work certificate and rural workforce agencies there. They're promoting that. So if you are if you're a general practitioner, you're required to get that certificate, otherwise you will not be able to get it, the visa. Now the DAMA updates, there are going to be more coming out. So there's obviously Northern Territory, Darwin, Great South Coast, Victoria, and the Western Australia Goldfields, regional South Australia. So we had talked about this, Adelaide, Orana, New South Wales, and Far North. Now Far North Queensland, I'm very interested about it because that's a whole area where it covered, I believe it covers Cairns. There's a lot of tourism space going up there, and I'm not too sure whether it will actually include all the mining areas, blah blah blah, but let's see what will happen. So that's basically it for the summarized news for the first week of July. Now if you do like our video, I will hopefully you could consider to subscribe to our YouTube channel. So once you get the once we have the news updated there, you will get the most updated information there, and more than welcome to leave a comment, and I will I'll reply, and you can also email me, and anything else, more than welcome. I see you for the next video. Bye.